So headed into the new year, I published this year's edition of my Best Heroes to Start and Grow series. Not only is this often one of my largest videos of the year, but this typically is very well received. And this year continued that trend with a notable exception. There were a surprising number of you that disagreed with my number one hero, -IO. So today, I want to dive into this, not simply just defending my position, but also making the case that this highlights what I see as a persistent issue in Flesh and Blood. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. So, if Warrior is algebra, then Wizard is calculus, and at her max complexity, -IO is nonlinear, non-homogeneous partial differential equations. But luckily, any good teacher knows that we don't start students out at max complexity, right? We first teach the basics, then add things in over time. And this is why I strongly believe that -IO is a great hero to start and then grow with in a player's Flesh and Blood journey. One can start with a simple, straightforward boost boom grenade list, learning the boost sequencing and ending with a payload. They can then graduate to max Velo shenanigans and slowly work their way up to cranking combo card draw insanity. And that, my Flesh and Blood friends, is where, admittedly, a bit to my legitimate surprise, some of you and I disagreed. And I do mean that. I was truly caught off guard. You see, in the past years, OG Dash has consistently topped my list of learn and grow lists. 4 years of these lists, and every single year, up until 2025 of course, OG Dash was in the top 5, even claiming the number 1 slot in 2024's list. And perhaps a bit ironically to the -IO perception, the level of agreement on OG Dash was quite high, and rightly so. But today, with 970 plus Living Legend points, the OG's time as an intro hero has passed. But here's the rub. The same things that made OG Dash a great entry hero are exactly the same things that make -IO a good entry hero. They are functionally similar from an entry and growth perspective. At the entry level, Dash employs the go-go boost mechanic playstyle. And the difference between these two heroes in this playstyle? One starts with a hyperdriver, or a Teklo Pounder to be fair, and the other can top deck boom grenades, or do other shenanigans. Now, this playstyle is extremely simple and straightforward for new players, but is also exciting. And it's also emotionally tense. Players feel the impact of every card they boost away, knowing that every action they take gets them closer to either winning or running out of gas. We then move to every Dash newbie's holy grail, pulling off max velocity. Anyone in the game for 10 minutes can look at a card that swings for 10 and say, "Wowzer," and start coming up with their own play lines to make it happen. See, the entry barrier for both versions of our mech heroine are very low, very fun, and not all that dissimilar. So my friends, why the disconnect? Why do so many of you agree with OG Dash being a good choice, but not -IO? And the only conclusion that I've come to, the only one that I've been able to conclude, is that we collectively as a community cannot conceptualize anything outside of maximum competitive. If we're going to play a hero, we have to carbon copy the latest, most competitive list to top the last big event that thus defines that hero. And this, to me, is a major concern. If we as a community cannot even recognize anything at less than max level, we have little to no chance of onboarding and retaining new players, and especially those players who are new to TCGs altogether. The only real difference between the two heroes at a functional level is that at top level, OG Dash isn't anywhere near as mechanically complicated as IO is, whose sequencing and playlines can at times be very extreme. No one here is arguing that there are complicated playlines at -IO at the highest level. Very difficult sequencing, timing, and complex decision trees. As compared to OG Dash, who remains completely simple in mechanics, and the complication lies in value, pitch stacking, and execution. So for certain, -IO is way harder at the high level, but she's not at the entry level. Check out, for example, my Tick Tick Boom - Boom Grenade commoner list. Not only is this super simple and super straightforward, it's also hella fun for players of all levels. If we as a community cannot look at a hero and see nothing less than a min-max situation, I think we might be in trouble. And I do think that this highlights Fab's ongoing and perhaps largest community challenge: continued, persistent, non-intentional gatekeeping through our laser focus on uber competitive at all costs. Look, folks, we have the tools. We're choosing to just not use them. Or perhaps worse, we're choosing to not validate them. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. Grow flesh and blood, grow your community, and go commando.